mathematicians! I hope you guys are having a great day today and I miss you guys so much. I have a question for you. Did you know that you can use the things we learn in math outside of our classroom? Isn't that incredible? So that means you can use like how we learned about dividing regions in equal parts at home or beyond. Pretty crazy, right? All right, well, today we're going to do just that. At the end of the lesson, I'll show you how you can use what we learned today in your lives at home and beyond. So today we're going to be remembering that information that we learned last week about dividing regions into equal parts into how we are learning today about fractions and regions. Okay? So before we move on and start learning some new stuff, I just want to take a minute to review some of our vocabulary because it will help us in learning the new stuff in our lesson. So last time we talked about equal. So equal means that something is the same. And specifically last time we were talking about things that were the same part, that they were equal. Unequal means that they are not the same size. So we had like a really big piece of a section and a little bitty piece. So were those pieces equal if one's really big and one's really small? Nope. That means unequal. And then we have whole. So that means we're talking about the entirety of something. The entire object, the entire thing. And then we learned about the word divide. And that means when you split things into different parts. Like you can split an orange and share it with your siblings or your family. Who knows, you can do it for a whole bunch of things, not just food. All right, and then we learned about halves, thirds, fourths, fifths, you name it. And that basically tells us how many parts we divided that whole into. If we had halves, we divided it into 2 parts. Thirds, we divided it into 3, 4 for fourths, 5 for fifths, and so on. And you can look at this chart to help you remember. All right, the fun stuff. Are you ready? So this is our new vocabulary. And so this is going to help us learn about fractions and regions. Are you ready? Pretty exciting. All right, so we have 4 new vocabulary words, and they are fraction, numerator, denominator, and unit fraction. Oh, those look a little confusing. Let me go over them really quick before we start practicing with them. So a fraction is basically looking at a whole and you divide them into different parts, whether it's 5 parts, 6 parts, and then you look at a specific area that you divide it into. So if I had a pizza and I divided it into 4 pieces, well, if I had 4 pieces of pizza and I ate 2 pieces of pizza, so then I would have eaten a fraction of that pizza. Pretty cool. Now, this is where it can get tricky, so make sure you remember these vocabulary words. A numerator and a denominator. Those 2 things are what make a fraction. Can you say those with me? A numerator and a denominator. So a numerator is that top number in our fraction. Okay, so our fraction has a number, a line, and another number. Our numerator is that top number. And so basically it tells us about the number of parts that we are looking at specifically. So like when I eat those 2 pieces of pizza, I'm going to put the 2 on top above that line. And then our denominator is our total number of equal parts. So if I'm looking at a pizza that has 4 slices and I eat 2, my denominator, that number below my line in the fraction, is going to be 4 because that is my total number of equal parts. Okay? So then my fraction for my example that I came up with would be 2 fourths because I ate 2 fourths of the pizza. And our last vocabulary word that we're going to learn today is a unit fraction. Now this is a little tricky, but a unit fraction is basically talking about one piece. So if I divided, let's try something else. I divided a piece of paper into halves. Then I would cut my paper in half and I would look at one specific part, my unit fraction. So I would have 1/2. I'd be looking at a half of a pizza. Since my one piece is my numerator and my total number of parts, my 2 pieces, is my denominator, I create my unit fraction. Inside the unit fraction, your numerator is always going to be 1 because you're looking at one specific part. Now when it comes to fractions, it can be any number. As long as that top number, the numerator, is talking about a specific number of parts that you're looking at, and then the denominator is talking about the entire amount of pieces that we're looking at, okay? All right, so now we're gonna move on and describe some stuff a little bit further so that way you understand what these vocabulary words mean and how you can use them. I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. So I pulled up one of my anchor charts and we're gonna use that to learn a little bit more about fractions and regions. So remember, a fraction has a numerator and a denominator. A numerator is the number of parts that are shaded. So we're gonna look at this shape first and look at the total number of equal parts, our denominator, and then I'm going to shade in a few of those pieces or parts, and then we're gonna find out the numerator. Are you ready? All right. So our first step in looking at this shape is that I noticed that they're in equal parts. So that's cool. Now we can find out a fraction because we need equal parts in order to find that. So now to find the denominator, we're going to count each one of these pieces, each one of these parts, to find out the number that goes here at the bottom of our line, okay? So let's count together. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many equal parts are there? Right, there are 6. So I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to draw a 6 for my denominator. You notice how it's below the line? That's where my total number of equal parts go. All right, so now we need to find the numerator. At this point, there's nothing shaded, but I'm gonna add something so I can shade it in. All right, so let's see. How many parts have I shaded in? Just 1, right? So then when I look at my numerator, the number of parts shaded, I'm just gonna put a 1. All right, so let's see, we created a fraction. Do you know the other vocabulary word that we created too? I don't know, think about it while I talk. So we noticed when we counted the total number of parts, we got 6, which is our denominator. And then we looked at the number of parts shaded, we found 1. So our fraction for this picture is 1/6. All right, are you ready? Let's try another one. So I'm gonna put another sticky note on here so we can write a different one. Okay, so now I'm going to add another shaded part. All right, so now that we have a different picture, are our equal parts still the same? For sure. Yeah, it's still going to be 6 equal parts. So let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cool. And then now I need to look at the total number of parts shaded. There's a different number of total parts, so let's look. 1, 2. So what's our numerator? 2, exactly. So we're going to draw a 2 as our numerator. So our new fraction is going to be 2/6. Okay? What's this one again? Right, 1/6, and it's also a unit fraction because we're looking at one specific part. And that's the picture that shows it. All right, now I'm going to shade another part in, and we're going to come up with another fraction. All right, so for this one, we know that we still have the same number of equal parts because we're looking at the same picture. But now we're going to look at the total number of parts shaded to find our numerator. What about this one? How many parts are shaded? Yep, exactly, 3. So I'm going to write in a 3 as my numerator. All right, let's see. I think we can keep going. Let's keep practicing. I'm going to add another one. All right, our denominator stays the same. What's our numerator going to be? I'm going to count just in case to check my answer. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to write in a 4. So my new fraction for this picture is going to be 4/6. All right, let's try one more. All right, so our denominator stays the same because it's a total number of equal parts, have not changed, but now we added one more, so let's see how many we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So our number of parts shaded is 5. So we have a numerator of 5, a denominator of 6, and our fraction is 5/6. All right. Now let's try a different one. Let's look at some circles. So, for this circle, how many parts is it divided into? Okay, yep, there's 1, 2. So there's 2 equal parts. All right, so wait, does that tell us something? Does that tell us what the numerator or the denominator is? Yep, it tells us what the denominator is. So since we have 2 equal parts in total, we're going to write in a 2 at the bottom. That is our denominator. And now, if I were to shade in this much, what would be my numerator? Yep, it would be 1 because we are looking at one specific piece that was shaded in. Nice job. All right, now let's look at this circle. How many pieces is this divided into? Yep, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what's our denominator? 4, exactly. So I'm going to draw a 4 in at the bottom because that's where my denominator goes. And now for a numerator, we don't have anything shaded, so I'm going to shade it in really quick. All right, here I'm going to shade this part in first. All right, so how many pieces are shaded in? Yep, 1. So our fraction, or our unit fraction, is 1/4, because we're looking at one specific piece out of 4, okay? All right, let's check out another one. Whoa, okay, so that looks a lot different. So how many pieces of this circle are shaded in? Okay, I see one that's not. So then I have 1, 2, and 3. So my numerator is going to be 3, making the fraction 3/4, because we're looking at 3 parts that are filled in out of a total of 4. All right, so now we can continue our practice by looking at our practice books. However, I just learned that you guys don't have these books, but you can access it online at the Envision Math. So for extra practice, because practice will help you remember, you can turn to the practice 9-2, and this will provide you extra practice in understanding fractions and regions. Should look something like this. And before I turn you loose to work on it on your own, I'm going to go over a couple problems so that way you understand what to do. All right, so fractions and regions. So the directions say in questions 1 through 4, write a unit fraction that represents each part of the whole. Write the number of shaded parts and the fraction of the whole is shaded. All right, so let's see. If we look at problem number 1, it gives us a rectangle. Okay, and it is split into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's split into 6 equal parts. All right. So now that we know, because we counted in our book, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal parts. Do we know the denominator already? Yeah, we do. So our denominator is going to be 6, because the total parts of this rectangle are divided into 6. And now it is shaded in the first box. All right, and remember that numerator tells us how many parts we're looking at, or the part shaded. How many parts are shaded? Yeah, 1. All right, so then we're going to write on the line 1/6. All right, and that's all you need to write for that is just the fraction, the unit fraction. All right, and then let's do another one. Let's do number 6. So this one says, draw a hexagon that shows 6 equal parts. Shade 4/6 of the hexagon. Okay, so now when we remember about our shapes, we remember that a hexagon is kind of like the number 6. Hex, 6. So hexagons have 6 sides. So I'm going to draw a hexagon. All right, there's my hexagon. And then, so, okay, into 6 equal parts. I'm going to draw into 6 equal parts. All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now it's telling me that I need to shade 4/6. So that looks like this, 4, 6. Our denominators are total number of equal parts. We have 6 parts. And now we're going to shade in 4 parts. So let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. So, and that is all we had to do, is we needed to represent this fraction by drawing a picture. And you can do it by doing this. Just make sure when you draw that you're being very careful and to represent your equal parts as equal in size. So they're all going to be the same size all the way around. It might take a couple times in extra practice, but once you can get those equal parts down, it'll be a breeze. All right, and then let's look at one more question. Let's look at number 7. So number 7 is kind of a part of a 2-step problem. And the main problem says that 3 parts of a rectangle are red and 2 parts are blue. Okay, and so number 7 is asking us what fraction of the rectangle is red. Okay, so first I'm going to draw my rectangle out because I know that's what we're talking about. So I'm going to draw me a rectangle. All right, and then it says that there are 3 parts of the rectangle are red and 2 parts are blue. Okay, so 3 are red. I'm going to write that down because that's important and I think I'm going to forget it. So 3 are red and 2 are blue. Okay, for number 7, we're looking at the fraction of red. All right, so if we have 3 and 2, those are our total number of equal parts. So let's add 3 and 2 together. We have 3, 4, 5. All right, so my total number of equal parts is going to be 5. So I need to divide my rectangle into that now. All right, so now that I have 5 equal parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, now I know my denominator, because that's my total number of equal parts. And then, I'm just going to color it in because that helps me a lot. And I don't know if my red marker is working. I don't think it is. It is not. So I'm going to use my pink one because that's pretty close. And shade in 3 of them because that's what we're looking at. All right. So then, by looking at our picture, what is our numerator? How many parts are shaded in? Yep, 3. All right, so for number 7, our fraction for the red portion of the rectangle is 3/5. Okay, and then you can continue to use this picture that you drew to figure out number 8. All right, and so, yep, if you guys can continue working on the practice page, that'll help you a ton. And then also, if you could work on the reteaching for 9-2, that'll just give you extra practice. That'll help you even more. All right. And then just remember, if you ever have any questions, feel free to write in the comment section. I'm constantly looking at that so I can respond to you and answer any questions or responses or anything that you have. Thumbs up or like this video if you watched it, if you enjoyed it, if you learned something. If you're still struggling with something, please write to me. All right, and now it's trivia time. So last time I asked you, true or false, the orca is a type of dolphin. And our answer is true. Orcas are a type of dolphin. Isn't that crazy? All right, so now this week I have another question for you, and that one is going to be, how many decades are in 2 millennia? I'll say it again. How many decades are in 2 millennia? All right, and then stay tuned for next week because I'll give you the answer on that one too. Until then, I hope you guys are doing great. I miss you all so much, and please stay healthy, stay inside, and I'll see you next time.